Biafran youths in the community are described as rising up to defend themselves and others against oppression and Nigerian police brutality. There's an implication that civilians, that is, unarmed Biafran youths, confronted and disarmed Nigerian police officers, reclaiming control in the face of brutality. A critic states that recent events have awakened the people, pushing them to resist long-standing oppression and reclaim agency. A man named John describes how some group of armed bandits claimed they are supporting ipob, that is, the indigenous people of Biafra, factions, allegedly burned down his and his relatives' homes for resisting their control. John recounts how the armed bandits targeted, kidnapped, and killed members of the community, including his brother. As a result of insecurity, schools and health centers ceased functioning. Infrastructure like solar systems was looted and sold. After initial devastation, the man and others began resisting, forming local security outfits to fight back and restore order. Peace is reportedly returning to the community through local efforts, with some displaced residents encouraged to return. However, some Biafra supporters have revealed that some of the armed groups in the southeast, claiming to be fighting for Biafra, are terrorists recruited by the Nigerian government to disrupt the Biafra movement and cause division among its supporters. In recent months, a powerful and deeply emotional story has emerged from southeastern Nigeria, where a group of young people identified as Biafran youths have reportedly taken an unprecedented step in the face of what they describe as years of relentless brutality, oppression, and injustice at the hands of Nigerian police forces and other armed groups operating in the region. This story, grounded in first-hand accounts and community testimonies, paints a vivid and sobering picture of a people rising to reclaim their dignity, their security, and ultimately, their freedom. The narrative begins with what many Biafran youths consider a long-overdue awakening. For years, communities in southeastern Nigeria, many of which identify with the pro-Biafra movement, have endured systemic neglect, government abandonment, and unchecked violence. The Nigerian police, who are supposed to protect the people, are frequently accused by locals of committing acts of harassment, unlawful arrests, extortion, and even extrajudicial killings. Over time, frustration and helplessness have fermented into a determined spirit of self-defense. One of the most striking events occurred when unarmed Biafran youths, no longer willing to passively absorb state-sanctioned violence, reportedly confronted a group of Nigerian police officers accused of brutalizing local civilians. According to eyewitness accounts and video footage circulated widely on social media, these youths did not just confront the officers, they disarmed them and took their weapons. This was not an act of random aggression, the community insists, but a response born of desperation, a spontaneous move driven by the need to protect their neighborhoods and families. The video footage accompanying this report shows chaotic scenes. Tensions run high. In one clip, a young man passionately expresses his pain, saying that people have been silenced for too long. There is a tone of resolve in his voice, and his words, "We fight till we get our freedom," resonate deeply with those who have lost family members and property due to the ongoing violence and instability. It is a call to arms, but more accurately, it is a call to consciousness. Many of the youths in the area say they are no longer willing to tolerate what they call systemic abuse. They are now determined to assert their rights and their humanity, regardless of the consequences. One particularly heartbreaking account comes from a man named John King, a longtime resident of the community. When a journalist from Magnetic Gigs TV visited John King's village, the landscape was marked by the haunting remnants of destruction, burnt-out buildings, ruined homes, and the quiet but powerful presence of resistance. John King described how a group of armed individuals claiming allegiance to the indigenous people of Biafra, ipob, descended on his home and those of his relatives, setting fire to everything in sight. They targeted his family, accusing them of resisting their self-proclaimed authority. In the aftermath, John King's brother was abducted and later killed. His home, which stood strong for more than 7 years, was reduced to ashes. Yet, despite the trauma and devastation, John King did not flee. He stayed. He repaired what he could. He organized. He, along with other courageous residents, began forming local security outfits. These were not vigilante groups, he clarified, but community-based teams focused on protecting neighborhoods from further harm. They patrolled the streets, gathered intelligence, and pushed back against the chaos that had once ruled their lives. In time, they began to reclaim peace. The story John King shared with the journalist is just one of many that underline the complexity of the security crisis in southeastern Nigeria. According to him and others, not all those who claim to fight for Biafra are genuine freedom fighters. Some, he said, are mercenaries, criminals, or even operatives recruited by the Nigerian state itself to sow division within the Biafran movement. These infiltrators, he believes, have turned the struggle for self-determination into a theater of violence and confusion. They act as wolves in sheep's clothing, blending in with real agitators while carrying out assassinations, kidnappings, and robberies. This claim is echoed by other Biafra supporters who are increasingly vocal about what they describe as a strategic plot by the Nigerian government to discredit the legitimate Biafra movement. According to these supporters, the creation and funding of fake ipob factions, made up of thugs and criminals, are deliberate tactics meant to fracture unity, stir fear, and justify military crackdowns in the region. The result, tragically, is that ordinary people suffer the most. Schools have closed, health centers are abandoned, solar-powered systems and other vital infrastructure have been vandalized and sold off by looters. At one point, entire communities were paralyzed by the violence, unable to function or plan for the future. This collapse of basic services hit children the hardest. With no access to education or healthcare, their futures hung in uncertainty. Yet, amid the wreckage, a slow but determined movement for community recovery has taken root. John King described how the community began coming together, forming bonds, rediscovering trust, and finding common ground. They held meetings, made collective decisions, and confronted their fears as a united front. In time, the atmosphere began to change. With the establishment of local security groups, a degree of order was restored. Roads that were once impassable due to banditry and fear began to see traffic again. Displaced residents started returning to their homes. Some returned not only because of improved security, but because they were inspired by people like John King, who showed immense courage and refused to abandon their ancestral land. The broader significance of this movement is profound. What started as a defensive reaction to police brutality has become a larger assertion of identity, dignity, and agency. These Biafran youths, once seen as victims of the state's neglect, are now demanding a seat at the table. They are not just fighting for survival, they are fighting to be heard, respected, and given the right to live in peace. This awakening has also sparked broader political debates. Is it justifiable for communities to take up arms when the state fails to protect them? Where is the line between self-defense and vigilantism? And perhaps most importantly, What does this say about the state of governance in Nigeria? The Nigerian government has not officially acknowledged many of the claims made by these communities. In fact, in many instances, it has responded with more force, sending in more troops, issuing arrests, and labeling separatist sympathizers as terrorists. Yet critics argue that such responses only deepen the crisis. By refusing to address the root causes, economic marginalization, political exclusion, and cultural erasure, the state inadvertently fuels the very resistance it seeks to quell. For the average citizen in southeastern Nigeria, the situation remains delicate. There is fear, yes, but also hope. Hope that the current momentum will not devolve into more chaos. Hope that leaders, both local and national, will listen. And hope that the sacrifices made by people like John King and his neighbors will lead to lasting change. At the heart of this story is a community's resilience. Despite unbearable losses and an uncertain future, they have chosen not to be defined by tragedy. They have chosen to rise, to rebuild, and to believe in the possibility of peace, even when it seems distant. In one poignant moment from the interview, John King, standing beside the ruins of his once proud home, looked into the camera and said he was not going anywhere. His wife and children were already back, and he encouraged others to come home too. "There is peace now," he said simply. His voice, calm but unwavering, spoke volumes. It was not the voice of defeat. It was the voice of a survivor, of a man who had stared into the abyss and decided to stand his ground. It was the voice of a people who refused to be silenced. In conclusion, the story of the Biafran youths who confronted Nigerian police brutality is about much more than one event or one group of people. It is about the struggle for justice in a nation where many feel unseen and unheard. It is about the courage of ordinary citizens who take extraordinary risks to defend their communities. It is about truth, resistance, and the human desire for freedom. And most of all, it is about hope, the belief that even in the darkest of times, peace and dignity are possible and worth fighting for. As the story continues to unfold, the events in southeastern Nigeria involving Biafran youths have sparked not only national debates but also international attention. What began as isolated acts of resistance in a few communities has rapidly transformed into a symbolic movement of defiance against state violence and perceived marginalization. The situation is no longer just a regional matter. It has become emblematic of the deeper wounds in Nigeria's national fabric. It is the story of a people pushed to the edge and their decision to push back, not with the kind of violence bred out of chaos, but with the resolve rooted in long-standing grievances. To understand the full weight of this resistance, one must return to the historical context of Biafra itself. The word Biafra is not new to Nigeria or to the global community. It evokes memories of a tragic civil war that took place between 1967 and 1970, when the southeastern region, predominantly inhabited by the Igbo ethnic group, attempted to secede and form the Republic of Biafra. The war ended in a devastating defeat for Biafra, costing the lives of over 1 million people, many of whom were civilians who died from starvation and disease. Although the war officially ended decades ago, the wounds it left behind have never truly healed. Many in the southeastern region still feel that they have never been fully reintegrated into the Nigerian state. They speak of political exclusion, economic deprivation, and a cultural identity that is constantly undermined by official policy and public rhetoric. It is from this historical burden that today's resistance draws its spirit. The youths who disarmed the police and defended their communities are often the children and grandchildren of those who lived through the Biafran War. They carry not just the trauma of today, but the memories of a struggle that predates them. This intergenerational legacy of resistance gives the current movement a powerful emotional charge. For many of them, defending their community is not just about confronting present-day injustice. It is about honoring the sacrifices of those who came before them. Yet, as the resistance spreads, it also faces increasing challenges. The Nigerian government has been quick to label most pro-Biafra groups as extremist or terrorist organizations, especially factions linked to the indigenous people of Biafra. The ipob movement, which was founded by Nnamdi Kanu, originally pursued a non-violent campaign for Biafran independence. However, over time, splinter factions have emerged, some of which have adopted more militant approaches. This splintering has not only confused many observers, but has also created opportunities for infiltration and manipulation. In the case of John King's community, the infiltration of fake ipob groups, allegedly created or supported by government actors, added layers of complexity and danger to an already volatile situation. These imposters, under the guise of fighting for Biafra, committed acts of terror, burned homes, looted infrastructure, and killed innocent people. The people, already exhausted from years of state neglect, found themselves trapped between two threats: the state's security forces on one hand, and armed bandits masquerading as freedom fighters on the other. This dual threat forced communities to take matters into their own hands. They no longer trusted the police, who were seen as agents of oppression. They certainly did not trust the so-called freedom fighters who acted more like warlords. Left with no other choice, they formed local security units, sometimes made up of young men with no military training, but with deep knowledge of the land, the people, and the culture. These groups began to patrol the streets, protect homes, and even establish checkpoints. In a way, they began to function like a parallel governance system, one rooted in grassroots participation, community consensus, and a fierce commitment to survival. Still, the road has not been smooth. These community groups often operate without funding, equipment, or legal recognition. They face constant threats from both government forces and criminal elements, and their very existence sometimes places them at odds with state institutions, making them targets of raids, arrests, and misinformation campaigns. Yet, their determination is unwavering. They argue that if the state cannot or will not protect them, then they must protect themselves, even if it means facing persecution. Meanwhile, the youth-led resistance is also evolving beyond just community security. In recent weeks, several local leaders, scholars, and youth advocates have begun organizing forums and town hall meetings to discuss a broader political agenda. These meetings are focused not just on immediate security concerns, but on long-term solutions, such as greater political representation for southeastern Nigeria, more equitable distribution of resources, and the establishment of truth and reconciliation commissions to address the lingering effects of the Biafran War. Some have even called for international observers to come to Nigeria and bear witness to what is happening in these communities. A new narrative is being born, not just of pain, but of empowerment. The community members are beginning to see themselves not as victims, but as active agents of change. They are using local media channels, such as Magnetic Gigs TV, to tell their stories directly to the world, bypassing what they see as biased national media. The interviews, the videos, the live streams all serve as tools of resistance, amplifying voices that have too long been silenced. Internationally, There is growing concern over Nigeria's handling of the crisis. Human rights organizations have issued statements condemning the excessive use of force by Nigerian police and military forces. Some have called for investigations into reports of extrajudicial killings, arbitrary arrests, and torture. The United Nations, while cautious in its language, has noted the deteriorating human rights situation in parts of southeastern Nigeria and has urged the Nigerian government to engage in constructive dialogue with marginalized communities.
Avoid us. Every Monday sit at home. Stay at your home. Respect that order. It is not carnal. We will fight till we get our freedom, till the end of our freedom. We all live to enjoy and celebrate our freedom. In Chukwu Okike Abiama's name we pray. Sure. As you can see, this is a busy man.
That guy see me here. Why you go slap her? See me here. See me here. What did you do? See me here. What did you do? Slap her. What did you slap her for? Touch me. Touch you. Just sit down. Sit there. I dare you. Sit there. Yes. This is the only officer where they won't listen to me. You guys, they oppress me. Now they spoil this country. You sit there, so sit there. Now they spoil this country. I come out, I want to know until I want to slap her. This man, you oppress me from my land. Anything you want, I'm ready. Police brutality. You now, I'm ready. Yes. We not be breathe. Yes. We not be breathe. We not be breathe. Here. Nothing to do. Me just shoot go. Then shoot go. Sit there for you. I said, "Person, you not make me. They can shoot go about that for you. You not jet. That's it. You are finished."
Now the big soldier, this is the police. I don't do. Now the big soldier. Now the big soldier. Now them man go. Now the rifle be this. The mothers. Now if be this. Now police rifle be this. The mothers. It don't fire shots. The magazine be this. The mothers. They don't reach. Don't police. They don't do. Now the big soldier. I'm of rubbish. When I was start, bloody civilians. Bloody civilians. Where would they train one like this? Now mothers. Now go way back and black on the zoo with us. I'm of rubbish. Civilians. 6 months easy.
I was directed to a man's house. Some people directed me that I should come to him and also ask certain questions on what happened. But truly I got to his house and I saw that all the houses in the compound were burnt down. Only one place he managed to fix recently because he decided, I saw the courage upon him. He said he's not leaving his community and he didn't run out of the community. He has been here from the onset till this day. Like as I said before, this is his house. And the other one over there, including that of his cousins and brothers, relatives, all here. If you could remember, this house was in order as how many years ago, sir?
7 years ago it was okay.
As 7 years ago. So you see that, take your view back to 7 years ago, you see that this house was one of the best as 7 years ago. But situations and the security challenges in the land brought this upon them in the community. He has been there. And I've gone to various compounds to ask very few questions. And I did like him to tell you just 1 or 2 points on what happened. Good afternoon, sir. Please, can you tell us your name?
Okay, good afternoon. My name is John Kingsley.
Okay, John Kingsley.
My name is John Kingsley. Ubuagu.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually,
are you from this community?
Of course, I'm from Mami Bebenato.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, how come your house were burnt? Just stand one place so that the camera can see. What happened that your houses were burnt down? And I'd like to know.
Yeah, what happened is that the house was actually burnt by ipob terrorists because of the activities they are inculcating in this community.
Okay.
So there was a friend, a brother of mine. I think they found that the man who brought this rubbish to us. You know, when he took the event took him time too, because at a point he was acting like a YouTuber, doing sort of things for youth, like kind of trying to become a leader.
Okay.
So in the long run, that thing turned to a different thing. I don't know how the emergency between here and the Carlo. So when they gave order 2021, started killing people.
Started killing people in the community. Yeah.
Started killing people. He bedded. It was on Sunday, Sunday 14th, 2021. Around 11:12, I was here. I was washing my car here. He bedded us. He asked his soldiers to come and apprehend us. Even me. But unfortunately, I could make a chase. I run. They couldn't catch me. They caught my other brother. Subsequently, they took him to Valley where they covered him also. He was killed. He was used for all sorts of rubbish.
Your own elder brother?
My brother. She brought us the second.
Okay.
So, after Kush, I said no. I'm not going to take this because it is unknown person they kill the person. So, I managed to try to put a stop to that rubbish. So it was after I apprehended the rubbish, the main person who caused this problem. That was why the other people remaining in the bush there came in the night and said the house ablaze. Sent the other for my father's, my uncle, even my elder brother on behind was set ablaze. Then he killed 2 people. He buried Shinedu and Elias Lajemba. So Abaka, all these people were killed, you know. So already then I sustained a little injury. I was in the hospital, you know, before the coup. Someone got to come here to kill my brothers. But since I returned back, we've been working along with GSS. We are catching them. We are getting rid of them little by little. Okay. So that is what happened.
But was there a time the school, the primary and secondary school here, they stopped functioning because of the insecurity?
Of course, no. Of course, they stopped. There was a time the school stopped.
No health center was functioning?
Nothing. They vandalized everything. No? Okay. They will pick the health center when they go there, they pick up the solar system, the aluminium, they will go and sell
They will sell it in the community here?
Yeah, they will invite them, they will come. Most of them don't live here. They invite them, they will come. You know, it's their government now. What will you do? You want to be killed?
They were operating like government in this community?
Of course.
Okay. Of course. But right now, I hope peace is returning back to the community.
Yeah, peace is returning, you know, through the help of the Italian Union and some people of goodwill who knew that what was happening was evil. Even I myself, because at a point my community was like, they don't know what's happened. But now they have understood everything that has happened, you know. Now we don't, because, you know, these people, they conquered us. They use us to kill us. That is the fact. Because all these killings was not done by a Fulani man, a Lagos man, a Yoruba man. No, it was Wilson. A brother killed brother. I summarized to them in our platform in the community. Brother killed brother. Because people who came to pick my brother was people I knew, I saw their faces. That was when I was able to. From the same community? From the same community, but they were member. They are member of ipob and ES and terrorists. They took oath. So they decided to pick some names, some big people, some prominent people who are educated to kill them because they wanted to rule the community. That is what they did.
Okay, so what message do you have now for your people? Are you advising those that are from this community? Let's get closer. Are you advising those in your community?
But in this community, I used to encourage them. As you can see, officially we form the community security. They are parading here and there with their arms, defending the people. So I encourage my brothers and sisters to come back, that our place has returned to normal. Cannot return more than this. Because when you look at what happened, you know that there is no external aggression. It was written. So I advise people to come back. There is peace.
To also, that there is peace in also. All right, viewers, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So you can hear from him directly that there is peace now in Osu. there is peace. Regardless of anything, a man who lost this kind of structure, lost 2 of his brothers, he's telling you to return back to the community. He's here. He's here. His wife and kids, they are here. For the benefit of doubt, you could come here and see for yourself. So you look at the structure. This structure was totally destroyed. And the other one over there. You can also look at the scanty environment. Just the area is somehow scanty. But you are encouraged to come back. With the level of security presence I saw here myself today, I'm very willing to tell you to return back to this community.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.